Tanja, I'm so happy that you have joined me again. And for those of you who have somehow managed to not hear our previous two podcasts, you are very much a career professional in the areas of sort of political topics as well as organizational things, a manager of people. And we could talk a lot about your professional achievements. But here you're actually representing items of personal interest. Normally we speak about sensuality and sexuality, and this wonderful group that you have begun with the intention of empowerment for diverse genders. And in some ways, this is perhaps what we're going to talk about is a part of that. But first of all, welcome. And I'm so happy that you can join me again.
Thanks so much, Zach. Thanks for the nice introduction. Hello, everybody. I'm happy to be back again. And I hope we will have another amazing chat today.
Yeah, I can't imagine it being any other way, to be honest, because, I mean, the topics that you bring to the table are, in some ways you could consider them very, very sort of fundamental. But there's so much more to it than that. The way that you talk about these things, there's a level of humanity which is inherent in all of the things that you say, and that's what brings me so much interest in these topics. So it's great to have that opportunity. So I thank you for continuing to come back and bear with me.
Thank you.
So today, I mean, I'm sure we will revisit the sensuality and sexuality topic at some point in the future. So for those who click on the Tanja podcast because that's what they want to hear, then we're going to have to leave you with a little bit of anticipation for when that topic re-emerges. But today we're going to look at two perhaps connected elements in some ways. Do you want to go into it? Because I think it's only fair. You are the specialist in the subject, so.
Yeah, I can go, but I wouldn't call myself a specialist in the subject. What we were thinking about, what we would like to share here or discuss a bit deeper than we did that before, was actually the topic of dancing, and as you said, of mindfulness. And I had the idea because as the Corona lockdown came to an end, and I guess most countries, but for sure here in Germany, and people are able to go out again. What happened over here in Frankfurt is that we are having social dances again. Yay! They are privately organized and they are open air. But it is possible again to go dancing, and for those ones who do not dance or did not yet start to dance, social dance is when you go out in the evening, and it's basically a couple dance. So I like to dance bachata very much and salsa. And so what happened over here in Frankfurt a month ago is that I was able to restart social dance. And that brought so many feelings up and so many thoughts up that that I had the wish, or I suggested that we should talk about that, about dancing, because dancing for me is a communication, a way of communicate with another person, but without talking, and that's great.
Yeah, I mean, if we take just one small step back. So, okay, salsa I'm familiar with with regards to knowing what it is, as opposed to being able to do it. But the other word, bachata, now knowing a little bit of Italian, now, bachata is to kiss. Bachata, is there any connection then?
I guess it depends on who you ask. No, but it's not. I would say it's the same root word-wise. But okay, so bachata comes originally from the Dominican Republic, and it's called bachata tradicional, and it's quite let's say energetic. And then about 15 years ago, there was a movement, a development here in Europe, starting from Spain, where Bachata Sensual was created by a very popular, would you say, pair of instructor, Jorge and Judith. And they created Bachata Sensual. And as you can hear in the word sensual, it is more sensual. It's you dance it more closer. You have a lot of body waves, a lot of body movement. And it looks quite nice. So I like both kinds of bachata. And you have you have also some other bachata directions. But yeah, those are the main two. I'd say, not being a professional dancer, but being a hobby dancer and with my whole heart. So, and what I do is I dance Bachata Sensual. Yeah. So anybody who would like to, you can Google it, Bachata Dominican Republic. You can Google Jorge and Judith, and there are many, many others, but they are the founders, the creators of Bachata Sensual. Yeah.
Okay, all right, wonderful. And it's also cool because you mentioned communication. Now, I love all forms of communication, and I can empathize with the fact that dancing is also a form of communication. Naturally, you're communicating, very specific things. But I mean, for example, when you go through life, as you get to know people more and you develop a familiarity with people, this kind of communication develops naturally. Do you think that, for example, by people who engage with a specific kind of dance, in this case, bachata, sensual or traditional, whichever may be the case, because they have a grounding already within the dance, is it easier for you to be able to communicate something intimate with a new partner? Or do you still need time to get to know one another to do that communication?
Okay, that's a good question, but it's a complex one. Okay, the way you communicate while dancing is a special one because you do not communicate verbally. You communicate like through your body. You have a leader and a follower. Usually the leader is a man and the follower is a woman, but you have also man dancing, lady dancing, and all the different options there are. So you have a leader and a follower, and the leader tries to make the follower understand what he or she wants the follower to do with your own body. So that means you have intimacy because you are very near. And specifically with bachata, you have you are very close. You're closer than, for example, with salsa or bachata tradicional. And but
purely on a much more sort of normal level. So if, for example, because if we say dance is like a kind of language and you both speak the same language, then it's easy to understand one another. Whether there is attraction or not is different.
No, wait. Okay, so, yes. Okay, like dance is communication. I wouldn't say it's a language. For me, that's different. It is a way to communicate with another human being. And every time you change your dance partner, you have another way of communicating. And that, for me, is the very special thing about dancing, because the two of us, we are not speaking in English. Yeah, we're talking to each other in English. And because we speak the same language, we believe we understand the other person. which is not always the case. That is human. You have misunderstandings. I have my definition of certain words. I have my traumas. I have my issues, and you as well. So it is not said that what you meant to say or what you did want to say is the same thing I am understanding, is the same thing I'm hearing, and vice versa, So, but like speaking in English or dancing is not the same. So because what I like very much is like on a social, you dance with 5, with 10, with 20 different dance partners, and with each one you have to start from zero. You start from zero to find your own communication between only the two of us, like my dance partner and me. So for me, it's really a difference. Like it's communication is not equal language.
Sure. Okay. And do you, for example, can you sometimes sense a greater level of intimacy between different partners and yourself? So
Absolutely.
okay. Yeah.
No, go ahead. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No, not at all. You couldn't interrupt me because I'm here to hear what you have to say because I find it so fascinating. Because this is kind of what I wanted to get at. So this non-verbal communication, because it's also you communicate with facial expressions, you communicate with your hands, but you said your bodies are so close. There is such a level of intimacy. And is a more skilled and experienced dancer able to communicate that intimacy better? And also, is it a question that if you personally find your partner perhaps even attractive, that the communication takes on a new level as well?
Okay, those are three things, three questions in one.
Sorry.
No, it's fine. I just and I want to answer all of them because they are great questions. we are just deep diving. That's great. So okay, I actually like that you use the word intimacy, that you use the expression intimacy. The expression I always use is flow. So what happened, and yes, you have different flows with different people. So when I mostly dance with guys. So that's why I will say, like, when I dance with a guy, with a man, with a leader, because that is my reality. So when I dance with a guy, you can have an amazing flow, and then you dance with the next one, with the next leader, and you can feel that it's not only the body, or it's actually not, maybe it's not even the body at all, it's the energy, because you are so near to the other person, even though that you don't know this person, that you really feel the energy of the other person. And sometimes you have a very deep connection, and sometimes you have the opposite. How would you say that in English? It's
not quite. You don't mean repulsion, though, do you?
Yeah, like if you have the magnets, which are not, if you turn the magnets, they are not they do not stick together.
They don't attract, they repel.
Yeah. They repel, yes, exactly. Yeah. So, and this is the interesting thing, because you cannot say from the beginning. You mentioned, like, if you have, like, for example, you see, in my case, I see an attractive guy, and I'm dancing with him. It doesn't mean just because I like what I see that our energies match. It can be that the dance is great. It can be just from the flow point of view and the energy point of view. It could be that the dance is great, and it could be that the dance doesn't work out at all, because you have different rhythms, you have different ways of moving your body, you have a different energy. And it doesn't mean that the person cannot dance or can dance, or I cannot dance or can dance. It's just it doesn't fit. And that for me is so fascinating, because you can tell this like in the first 30 to 40 seconds when you dance together, Whether when you meet and you talk, you need more time to understand that. So that is my personal observation. And maybe because you also mentioned the skilled dancer, for me, I can only share my experiences and my point of view. Like if you have a skilled dancer, it is much easier to cover if the energies do not match, but you cannot neglect them, at the end.
Okay.
Because there is, it's on an energetic level, I'd say.
Okay. And also, I mean, okay, so energy and rhythm and the fit, could that also translate into more sort of common parlance to chemistry? When you encounter someone and you sense that I get on with this person, or alternatively, the other way around, you have a new colleague, and from the very first moment, you're like, there's something, no, it doesn't work. Could that also be construed as the communication of a kind of energy?
Yeah, I'd say so. But I would also say that when you have this kind of chemistry, like in the daily life, that we are not so sensitive to it. But if you dance, you are much more open to it, and it plays a bigger role.
Yeah,
You understand what I mean?
yeah, no, I do, I find it fascinating because no, I'm trying to think the individual messages that you are communicating.
If you meet, for example, if I have a colleague, I meet a new person, male, female, whatever, you meet and you have people you are attracted in the sense of I like this person, like we have the same I don't know, energy. And then you have others, you're like, oh no, I should not go nearer. And then you have many that are like neutral. I think everybody knows this experience, had this experiences before. You meet people, you feel attracted in an instant, and others you do not feel attracted, and many you are neutral. And then you take the time, and sometimes we try to force, like, oh, but like if your boss is a person you are genuinely not having the same level of energy, then you still would have to get along, and so you will close your eyes for this energy which is not there, or for a rather negative energy or difficult one. Whether when you dance, you cannot close your eyes because it simply doesn't work. Like for me, you can dance in the sense of you can do the steps and you can do the figure, but it will, for those who watch, but mostly, and it's even not so important those who watch, because you dance for yourself. When you dance, you can really feel the difference if you have a flow or you haven't a flow. And you can have this only dancing like the basic steps. It doesn't mean that if you have energy with somebody, with your dance partners, that you do all crazy shit and then 50 figures in one song, which I'm even not a big fan of. So you can, if you are in a flow, you can have the basic step, turn right, turn left, and it looks amazing, and it makes you feel amazing. Yeah.
When you can coordinate it with a partner, you mean this that element of the steps, the coordinating element, or your individual sort of rhythm with the beat, with the music, and that.
The leading and the following.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's also the flow and energy elements of dance are normally more uplifting, aren't they? Though, because when you meet somebody in an office, you go to work, you don't necessarily have that good mood element to you. But dancing, do you not think it's skewed towards positivity, happiness, a better mood, a positive mood, because you're going to dance. And dancing is a passion, isn't it?
Yes, and I mean you have many. I have also some books here on the psychology of dance, and you have many. You have a lot. You have a lot of scientific work also on the results of dancing and what it makes to the human body, to the human mind, and we should all actually dance more and more and more. Yeah, it's healthy for your state of mind. It's good for your body. You are. I mean, I'm not an expert on these things, but I would have to look that up again in the books. But you know that you start producing hormones which make you good. And I've just recently seen a very very nice photo, a collection of pictures where a photograph took pics from different people before they danced and after they danced on a social night out. And it's amazing to see. It is so, because you can see in the faces that before they were like, okay, he's taking a picture, I'm smiling, you know, like we are customized to do so. And then when after they danced and he took the pictures, they were like shining. They were not smiling, they were shining. And I could relate to that, because that is how I feel when I dance and have a good night out, or if I dance, I train. Even if I dance for myself here at home, and you start feeling differently, because you give yourself the opportunity to express yourself. And this is for me very important. Again, I'm not a professional dancer, and I started dancing again only like 4 years ago now, but it counts for everybody. You don't have to be a professional dancer, and you can also just start a course once a week. You don't have to do 3 days of training per week and 4 social nights out per week to feel that. It just jumps into your body right away from the first step.
Mm. And I mean, you are representative of or familiar with at least many different cultures, from the basis of your origins, which we went into with our first talk. Do you feel that being able to dance the bachata also creates a bridge between the cultures that you represent and the Dominican Republic?
No, I wouldn't go that far.
No? Okay.
No, I wouldn't go that far. But what I definitely see is like we have different kinds of dances. You have in every country, you have your own dances, like in Italy, on the Balkans, in England, here in Germany, everywhere. And which underlines my hypothesis that we humans, we need to dance. We need to move, and this rhythmic, you say rhythmic movement to music is something we always did in our history. And in my opinion, we are losing it more and more, because specifically these very traditional dances, they get more and more lost. We lose the knowledge. Yeah.
Yeah, I can see that actually, because a lot of these traditional dances are sort of left to older generations, because the younger dances are more energetic and more inviting in some ways, even though perhaps the message is more fleeting, and that the traditional dances have a certain sort of longevity to their meaning. I think you're right. I think it's similar to many different cultures as well. So lots of places like, I mean, Sardinia, for example, Corsica, these people battle to maintain their language. And, in some places that's not always possible, because the people who are aware of that culture is dwindling so much.
But a thing
Yes.
I'd like to add, what I see is what I found very very interesting is when I first started dancing again a couple of years ago, and then I went to Italy for holidays and to visit my family over there. I went out for social dance as well. And what is very interesting is that there are variations in the dancing scene and in the way to dance in different countries. So dancing bachata in Germany is different than dancing bachata in Italy or in Belgrade or wherever, you know. And that I found that quite interesting. And I find this very nice because it means that there's a kind of connection of the dance and the tradition in the country where you pick up the dance. I mean, you know, like as you said, that bachata comes from the Dominican Republic, and the way it's danced here, like okay, for Bachata Sensual in Germany is a bit different than Italy, for example. And that is interesting.
Yeah. I do really appreciate diversity. I think if I had the opportunity to mention the word diversity 10 times in every podcast, I would, because I think diversity is what it's all about. And I think beauty is in diversity, and also our ability to appreciate and embrace diversity is a beautiful thing itself.
And then if you if you come up with diversity, then let me also share one thing with you, because I heard another podcast. I'm following also some dancing podcasts. So, and I liked very much that there was a podcast I was listening to that took up the subject I mentioned before, that you have a leader and you have a follower, and usually the norm is that the leader is a guy and the follower is a lady. But what I really like is you see also a lot of ladies leading ladies. You have two ladies dancing with each other. You have this in some courses and you have it in the socials. What I find a bit sad is that I do not see so many male leader dancing with male follower. But they are. But I don't see them so often. That is why I would, or you dance like you have the lady leading and the guy following, you know, that would be also interesting. And so if we could see more of that, that would be nice. But that is my personal opinion. I also know people who like this very traditional patriarchal way of having things, which is there is a reason why the leader is a male and the follower is a female.
Yeah, I mean, that's definitely a good, an interesting line of conversation as well. I mean, to be honest, there's a part of that in what I wanted to ask next, which is in itself a dance. It's the result of cultural development, and so there are many dances which represent perhaps a battle, a conflict. This kind of a historically important event. If you were going to describe bachata, how would you describe it? Would you describe it, for example, a ship on a sea in a storm and it's fighting against the storm, but the two are at the same time held in an embrace? Or would you consider it to be some other kind of conflict, or perhaps no conflict at all? It's merely, as you said, two rivers flowing into one another. How would you describe bachata for somebody who has no concept of it?
Okay, so for me, it is definitely not a battle and not a conflict. For me, bachata is a very playful dance and a very sensual dance. If it comes, like I'm talking about Bachata Sensual now. And it is more about discovering where you could go together with your dancing partner during the song or the songs you're dancing. It is not a battle. No. But that is my personal point of view when it comes to Bachata Sensual. I would clearly want to state that I don't know enough about Bachata Tradicional and its heritage and the meaning like where it comes from, because that is that is something I would have to look up as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's it is interesting as well. And you also, to come back to some of the things that we were talking about before. So, for example, the way that you dance, you mentioned there that it's a journey. You know, that you go somewhere. I mean, are these journeys improvised? As in, is it a bit like jazz, where you basically go where you want and then your partner comes with you? Okay, you've got the leader and the follower, but how much can the leader lead without sort of forewarning? How improvisational can it be?
It can be very improvisational. I like the word. Okay, I'm not going to say it again. But it depends. It depends on so many things. I mean, when you go and you learn a dance, be it bachata, salsa, tango, whatever, foxtrot, you learn on one hand side you learn the technique, and on the other hand side you learn the figures, you know. And I would actually wish for more, and I also discussed that in some of the dancing schools I've been, to have lessons about how to lead and how to follow. Because leading is not easy and following is not easy. You have to learn that. And there is one very nice, what would you say, equation about dance. It's about leading and following. Like, the leader is the frame, and the follower is the picture. So the leader gives the opportunity, creates the frame for the follower to do things. It's an invitation. So that is for me the most beautiful way to put the game between the leader and the follower. But that is what I like and how I see it, or how I wish for it. But there are also other understandings, like the leader it's like in business, you know, and then you have leaders like, I tell you what I want you to do now. And to make myself very clear, I put a bit more force on it. And people are different. And for example, this second way of leading, you could hear that in the tonality of my voice, I guess, is not the way of leading I like. Not in business and not on the dance floor. I'm more on the same eye level. I'm more the type of person who likes that. And to be invited and to discover together, then to be told from above what I should do and when and how. Because then I cannot express myself anymore. Then I'm only following commands. And that again is not dancing for me. That is not getting in connection. There is no flow.
Fascinating.
I mean, I've been in my professional career, I've been also a project leader, a project manager. I had the responsibility also for teams. And so when I started dancing in the first year, there was an idea I had. It was like, actually, every project leader, every manager, everybody who is in charge and responsible for others should start dancing and should learn to dance as a leader and as a follower. Because it's really interesting what you can get out of it, at least if you're open for it, at least in my opinion. I was really not surprised when I discovered which kind of leading I prefer. And then after a while, I realized like, yeah, no wonder that I prefer more an eye level kind of leading, because that is also the way I lead, you know? And I get very how you say, I rather start creating a distance if people push too hard. If people, if they like, yeah, you do it like this and that, like this old school hierarchical kind of leading.
That dictatorial in many ways.
Yeah, that is now it's yeah, that is a very strong word, but yeah, in that direction, and for me, I get in the opposition. Yeah, that's the word. If I feel too much pressed in one direction, I'm like, oh, are
And
we
you
going
rebel.
to do? Yes, it's like, okay, are we in this team together? Are we trying to find a solution for this project together? Are we in this dance together? Is it 50% leader and 50% follower? Or is this a show off of the leader and I'm just a piece of meat being thrown around? To put it like very.
Yeah, very, very strongly, as you say. But
Yeah.
okay, so yeah, so you are essentially a rebel, aren't you? You can take things within a certain capacity because you have acquiesced, you have given somebody the right to lead, but it has to be done within a certain standard. And if it goes beyond that, then you're no, that's not how it works.
Yes. Yes, exactly. And there is also a very big discussion in the dance scene, and specifically amongst followers, that to say no, and not particularly not to a dance, like somebody comes and would you like to dance? Do you say no? No, that I don't mean that, but just because you ask me if we want to dance, or I ask you to dance, and you are leading, that doesn't mean that I will follow in all the figures, because they are figures you can get hurt while dancing. I know so many great dance instructors, like all of them, they have back issues. They have their shoulders, like how you say that, ripped up, ausgekugelt, like
dislocated.
Followers who have their shoulders dislocated just because there was a misunderstanding in the dance, or because the leader was a bit too tough on the arm. And there are a lot of beautiful figures, but you can really severely hurt yourself, your neck, your atlas joint, your atlas gelenk. You like there. I mean, we are bodies. We are vulnerable, and it looks beautiful if you see a leader like doing amazing things with a follower. But then the follower needs to be ready, because if you are not ready, you cramp. You get tense, and that that will endanger you more.
And it removes from the spectacle as well, doesn't it?
Yes. So the discussion of it is like to tell the leader, like, okay, I understand that you want me to do a drop back now, but I don't want to. Whatever the reason is, because I don't feel to, because I have an injury, because I'm scared you will not hold me, because I don't want to. So, and then to say this, and yeah.
Yeah, it's also an element of empowerment, isn't it?
Yeah. And this is why I would say, like, it's not that the follower is dumbly doing everything the leader is saying, and the leader has, and this is also in the working world, the leader has a fucking responsibility. If you are in charge for whatever, a project, a process, a team, financial issues, you have the responsibility. It's not only about the title and the crown, and the shiny. It is, you have the fucking responsibility. And a good leader takes the responsibility, and taking the responsibility is like you can see, and you can also see when I stand at the dance floor and I observe dancers, you can tell which leader takes responsibility for his or her follower and who doesn't. And then sometimes leaders don't take the responsibility because maybe they didn't learn it, they don't know how, they are still trying to learn, which is totally fine. But then you have also the leaders who just have a particular understanding of leading. And then I already know, okay, that is not like, okay, with this leader, I know it's not going to work out if we dance together, because I prefer a different kind of leading. I like a clear leading, you know?
Mm.
But it doesn't mean that it's not clear. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of, as you alluded to earlier, that there's a lot of psychology involved in this, and sometimes perhaps a battle of wits, a battle of genders, a battle of will. But there's also the battle with oneself. What will I allow this person to do? How far will I allow myself to go?
It's a battle with yourself, and it is really like a personal growth thing, personality development thing. Because if you go to a social and you want to dance, you cannot hide in the last corner at the last table, because then nobody will ask you to dance, and you will most probably not jump out of this corner right to the dance floor to ask somebody to dance with you. So what usually happens is, when you're on a social, the ones who would like to dance, they position themselves near at the dance floor. And then you can see with whom would I like to dance, who looks kind or nice to me, which way of dancing do I like, and the others do the same. But to put yourself on the spot, to put yourself there, it means that you show yourself, and that takes also a certain amount of courage, for example, for me, if I am fine with me, if I feel grounded, if I feel good, then I love it. I love to stand there by the dance floor and look around and look, okay, the next one, this one, and this one, and then people come and ask me for a dance, and I ask them. So that's amazing. But of course, I have also days where I'm not so, like, bad days, where I don't feel that grounded, where I doubt myself, where you had a shitty day, whatever, so you had the wrong food, it doesn't matter what's the reason. And then it is more difficult to put yourself out there and to show yourself, because if you're not clear with yourself, how can you be clear with the others?
Yeah. Well, then you can come. Then you can come and sit with me on that far table, and we can just have a chat then, rather than dancing.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry, I think I interrupted you though.
No, I think
okay. All right. But what is also brilliant is that you mentioned personal growth and personality and character development exactly when that's what I was getting to, because so much of the dance sort of psychology and the sort of mental preparation that you mentioned leads directly into mindfulness. And you, when we talked before, you said for you mindfulness is in many ways personal growth and development, isn't it?
Yes. Yeah, because the more clarity you gain, the more you reflect upon yourself and your experiences and why things are happening and why you are handling things the way you do, the more you reflect upon these issues, the more mindful you are already. For me, mindfulness is a process. It's not a far aim somewhere behind the mountains. It's you are being mindful with every step. You can be mindful for 2 seconds on a day, or for 2 hours, or for the entire day. It depends. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, sorry.
Because mindfulness, like if I get to know myself better and better, I know myself more and I can be more present in certain situations. So being present is being mindful. So I understand what is triggering me. I understand, like simply the thing I said before. If you can go for a dance and you expect to have a great evening, and then the evening is somehow shitty. I had that like 2 weeks ago. I had a particular shitty evening. The evening, but here it comes. The evening was nice, and if I reflect like very neutrally on it, then I had good times. Actually, the evening was 50-50. I had great chats. I had great dances, but I also had these phases where I was feeling totally lost over there, and I was like, I have to escape. I have to leave here. I don't fit in here. I have to go. But this is my brain. My brain fuck my film, like my mind is that is not, it is not what happens outside. It's happening outside because it's happening inside, inside of me.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not going to attempt at all to psychoanalyze you, especially not from this distance. But
Please
I'm not.
no.
Absolutely not. I'm not qualified to do so. And but I mean, even if we were sitting here together, then we would have a chat, and I would simply give an opinion or ask a couple of pointed questions, and no more. But yeah, I find it interesting. Is it like you were kind of having a sort of ongoing struggle with yourself, that you wanted to be there, you were excited about being there, and you were not really able to make the most? Did you feel you weren't making the most of the opportunity after all of these months of isolation? Why do you think it was then you had such mixed feelings throughout the evening?
I think there is this magic word of expectation.
Yeah.
So because I had beforehand 2 or 3 socials, like nights out. They were amazing. When I went back home by bicycle, I was like literally flying back home. I have to state this because this is how I describe dancing. For me, when I dance and when I have a good time dancing and I have this flow, I sincerely can feel my soul vibrating. It's like it goes so deep. I love it. And it's life. You cannot have only ups, because you will not appreciate the ups if you don't have the downs. And then at the end, what is a down? Like if I had 2 or 3 amazing nights out, and then the 4th night is not as amazing as the others, does it automatically equal to be a shitty night out? It's just a different night out,
Yeah.
So things were just simply, they were different. So, but I know that the things I'm telling you now and the reflection I'm doing, like, or sharing like now, I couldn't have done that 10 years ago. And this is where, for me, this personal growth and personality development kicks in. Like, if you are able to reflect upon yourself and to understand This is why did a meeting with my boss go a certain way? Why did a talk with my fiance go another way? A talk with my son, daughter, whoever, a dance, a training with a football team or whatever we do, we have expectations towards us and towards others, but we don't have them consciously, and that is the problem.
Yeah, a lot of the times when I've spoken with the people with whom I work, the problems that they communicate to me always stem in some way from expectations and the lack of realistic expectations. We have these, we allow ourselves to be disappointed by having unrealistic expectations, and the concept of expectation management is really difficult for some people to get, their sort of mind around.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah. I mean, do you think is mindfulness in some ways a kind of a key towards managing those expectations, because you have you sort of achieve a form of understanding which allows you to control your emotions, allows you to bring you down, to be a bit more balanced. There's that word that we talked about before.
Actually, I would not use the word control. It's not about controlling for me. For me, it's about being aware. It's about awareness. Am I scared? Am I angry? Am I sad? And if I'm angry, am I really angry, or am I covering up my sadness with that? So yeah, for me, it's not bad to have expectations, but I think because expectation, they can also push you. But I think the key is really to be aware that you have these expectations. If I say, we go back to the dancing, I go out tonight and I expect to have an amazing day, an amazing night out. I expect to dance with 50 different leaders, or I expect to be fit enough to dance until 3 a.m. And then you dance only with 40 leaders. I'm taking hilarious numbers, but and you are tired at midnight. So what? It doesn't make what you experienced before less worthy,
Yeah. And before you kind of suggest not control. Yeah, so
awareness.
that suggests, so is there something bad about the idea of control? Is being or trying to introduce control a counterpoint to awareness in your thoughts?
I think maybe for me, if I'm really honest, control, the term control for me has a slight negative connotation. Control is important as an idea,
Concept.
As a concept. Thank you. That was the word. As a concept, but I personally believe that in the society we live and in these times we live, control is everywhere. And we grow up, and you need control. You have social control, and you need a certain amount of control, even if you want to run a state or run a business or organize your household.
Yeah.
But what I'm pledging for is to be aware that is control. Because just talking about the two of us that about control makes it tangible, you know.
Mm.
And I would wish for to have it more consciously, the concept of control, because if you see the control, then you can always ask yourself, like, okay, is this fine with me? Do I want this? Or would I prefer it in another way? I mean, how often do we control? I mean, baby boys get controlled in a way, like I'm coming up with an old example. It's like, don't cry. And girls should control themselves in a way, like, don't show your anger. But you is it suppress? You suppress your feelings. And so in this way, I think control has a negative connotation, for example.
Sure. Yeah, no. From definitely from the examples that you gave, I can see how control would be have definitely a negative influence, especially on the development of an individual.
Yes.
Because if you don't allow yourself to experience
Yes.
certain things, then you're not going to develop, are you? So absolutely,
Yes.
from that perspective, you're completely correct. To point out my erroneous word choice, thank you very much.
Yeah, sorry. No, I just felt the reaction to your choice of words. So I was like, I have to say something.
No, absolutely, absolutely, yeah. And it's when I speak with people such as yourself, I renounce any idea of control before I press the record button, um, for the basic reason that if that were the case, then I would simply give you a script,
Exactly.
and
Yeah.
I think to do that, I would simply be um, preventing us from sharing an experience which also other people would benefit from, because you bring so much to the table. It would be a shame, inherently.
For me, for example, it just comes to my mind, control is the opposite of flow.
Yeah.
If you are controlling yourself too hard, you cannot come into a certain kind of flow. Because flow for me, as of my understanding, is to let go, to open up, to let things in, and to not control.
Yeah, I mean, but that's scary for some people, isn't it? As
Yeah,
in,
absolutely. That is not just scary, I think, for everybody. That's also scary for me, for myself. And it doesn't mean that you can. I wouldn't want to have that all the time. I don't want to lose my control, my self-control in my daily life. But what I very much appreciate, that I have this opportunities to let go of the imagination that I have to have self-control all the time. And only when you let go of it, you will become consciously that you had it before. You know what I mean?
yeah, absolutely.
So, and that is what I meant before, and with like awareness and getting to know yourself. Yeah. I found this fascinating.
Mm.
It's just like, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's a bit like when you sort of breathe out without realizing you'd been holding your breath.
Yes, yes, exactly, exactly. Yes, yes.
Wow. Okay. All right. That's a really intense, sort of series of exchanges. Okay. Yeah, that just food for thought. There's so much there to reflect upon.
Digest. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Well, I mean, and we've flown through the hour, and
Yeah.
there's a lot. That's a really
Let's have mercy with you,
yeah.
with your guests.
My word, yeah. I think I need to, a cold bath now to sort of let everything, sort of flood out. But before we do, it's only fair because I had promised you a sort of a relaxing and somewhat playful question thereafter. Now, we spoke last time about you and your motorbike, and
Yeah.
and now you're going on a wonderful trip. Yeah. And I can hear the excitement in your voice when you said that. Yeah. Yeah. Do you want to talk a little bit about the trip? I mean, you don't have to tell us all everywhere that you want to go and so on, but some of the, the mental imagery that you have when you think about your trip and what really inspired you to do this and to plan it.
Yeah. I do a road trip with a friend of mine together, two ladies and their bikes. Yeah, that's great. I love road trips, but I've done many road trips to South Europe in the past. Yeah, and will be the very first time I do it by bike, and we are going to northern Italy. So we will drive through Switzerland and then to Italy. And that for me this is pure freedom because it's like we will start from here, and then we have around about 900 kilometers to arrive to the, let's say, first destination. And we will see if it takes 2 days, it takes 2 days. If it takes 3 days, 3 days, and we will see where we will stop. So yeah, it's this kind of it's not a controlled it's not a controlled travel in the sense of that we know where we're going to stay and when we will arrive and everything. So yeah, and I love it. For me, simply the idea is pure freedom. Yes, it's an adventure. It's amazing. I'm really, really, really happy that we are able to do it because this is something we had in plan at the beginning of the year, and then due to different circumstances, at a certain point, we decided, maybe also due to Corona, we decided to instead of going to Italy, we would go to Berlin. That's actually what I told you last time, that I would come beginning of July to Berlin, and then I'm planning a central talk in Berlin. And now plans changed again, but that's life, I guess. And it's great that that's life. Yeah, we changed back to the good old plan to go to Italy, and that's what we're going to do. Yes, and it's great. It's amazing. I'm all electrified about that. It's cool. We
I think
drive to
people.
the ocean.
I think people can hear that electrification, as you point out. Wonderful, Tanja. What can I say? So I know that for the next time that we talk, it's going to be after this trip.
Yes.
And so therefore, I'm really looking forward to hearing some of your, the tales of your adventures and the experiences that you had as well. Just perhaps as a small introduction.
Yes, we can do that.
That would be wonderful. Yeah, I don't know what to say. It's another sort of jaw-dropping exchange. So much that you've sort of packed in there. What can I say? Thank you, Tanja. It's as always an education and a real pleasure. Thank you very, very much for joining me.
Thank you for having me, Zach, and thank you for having me for the third time now. And it makes it is really it's so much fun to talk to you, and it's you are throwing so interesting questions to me, so that I really, I like that. It's really nice. Thanks Thanks a bunch, and thanks to everybody who takes the time to listen to that.
Yeah, absolutely. Brilliant. And I hope they enjoy it. And yeah, I should also try to put in more, I should put an email address somewhere so that if somebody wants to send me, or you, of course, a message, that they should feel free to do so.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, or a Twitter handle or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, cool. All right, we'll do that. Yes, of course. A pleasure. This was number 3. I hope there'll be 103 opportunities to talk with you. And that would just be great, and still not enough. So thank you again, and have a great trip. Buon viaggio.
Thank you, grazie mille. Ciao, ciao.
Ciao. Two, and a mic. Two, and a mic.